Okay. Rolanda, are we ready to go?
Hi, am I? Yes, I think we're good to go.
Okay.
I'll send another reminder, but I think we can start.
Okay.
Very good.
So, hello, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the H3Africa Rare Diseases Working Group. This is the working group that is gathering people working on rare diseases across different projects within the H3Africa Consortium. And today we have the honor to have one of our guests from the Boston, the second guest from Boston. The first one was Professor Bodamir a couple of months ago. And then today we have Professor Nader Rafai. Correct me if I get the name mispronounced.
Oh, that's correct. That's fine.
Okay. So Professor Nader is Professor of Pathology at Harvard School of Medicine. And he is also the director of the clinical chemistry at the Boston Children's Hospital in Massachusetts in USA. And his work focused and still focused on the knowledge development, especially when it comes to the identification of markers, biochemical markers for coronary heart diseases. And from the development of knowledge, he got involved in the sharing, the business of sharing the knowledge that has been built. He worked in medical journals, and now he's also working on a new initiative that is the laboratory medicine knowledge, how to codify this knowledge and how to share this knowledge with people across the world. So in that frame, they have developed the learning lab for medical laboratory platform, and it's all based on an adaptive learning approach. So we are happy today to have Professor Nader with us, and he is going to introduce us to this new approach of learning and the tool that they have developed that are available to us. So for all people joining, please turn your microphone off. You can type your questions during the presentation in the chat, and we have almost half an hour of Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to leave the stage to Professor Nader.
Thank you very much, Emma, for this kind introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen. I hope I can do it. Host disabled participant. I think you may need to allow me to share the screen.
Do that in a second. Sorry about that.
Host disabled.
Should be all right now.
It's not allowing me to share this. Oh, here we go. Share. All right. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Can you see the screen? Okay. All right. Excellent. So thank you again for this opportunity to be here with you. And this is, as Emma indicated, this is a program that I have been involved in building for the past 8 years. And it is based on the concept of adaptive learning. So if you take one step back in time, back to the teaching during the Greeks, and this is a depiction from Henry Bates showing Socrates sitting with back then only young men, a few of them, to talk to them about his philosophy in life, physics and mathematics and other issues. And throughout the centuries, educators have been trying to figure out what will be the best way to communicate information. And schools, as we know them today, actually started during the Roman period, and surprisingly enough, they didn't change very much. In 1984, there was, let me see. In 1984, there was what's considered a landmark report in the education community by Benjamin Bloom, in which he took 3 groups of students. Every group consisted of 30 students, and they were all subjected to 3 educational session over a period of 3 weeks. The first 2 groups, the one that is depicted here in the dashed line and the dotted lines, they put the students all in a classroom and one teacher lectured to them. In the first group, the dashed line, they did not have any exam throughout the 3 weeks period. They just had one exam at the end. But in the second group, in the dotted line, they had series of exams throughout the 3-week period. The third group that, as you see here in a solid line, this is where teaching was done on one teacher to one student, and they had exams throughout the 3 weeks period. And when they looked to see the level of retention of information in the 3 groups, it wasn't surprising that only 20% in the first group retained information compared to 70% in the second group. And the best retention of information was when you did the personalized teaching, the one-on-one. But of course, that is quite unrealistic to expect that level of teaching. And that was very clear in Dr. Bloom's own words in his conclusion when he said an important task for research and instruction is to seek ways of accomplishing this under more practical and realistic conditions. And this remained an elusive goal for many years until the birth of artificial intelligence and the whole concept of adaptive learning, which is the closest to personalized education. So if we look at the difference between the traditional e-learning versus the AI-driven adaptive learning, in the traditional e-learning, it is the same for everyone. We watch a lecture on the web or we read an article on the web. It is the same article and the same lecture for me as it is for any of you. The content usually comes first, and then at the end, you have the questions. It doesn't take really into account what you already know. It is the same information to everyone, and it starts from the beginning and goes to the end, and the learner is responsible on finding ways to retain the information. So in contrast, the adaptive learning, it changes to every single learner, to every single individuals. It shows the content only when you do not know the answer. If you know the answer, it just skips the whole thing and goes into another area of learning. So it takes into account what the student already knows. And it addresses specifically what the learner needs, addresses only the areas where the learner is deficient in. And it helps the learner to retain the information. So all that sounds very good, but we are all scientists, and by nature, we are skeptical. So the first question comes to mind, but does really adaptive learning work? It sounds very good, but does it actually work? So what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is show you some evidence that, yes, it actually works. To start, let's look at the diagram that describes the different types of learners. So, for example, let's start with third group that it is depicted here in yellow, and these are the group called the unconscious competent. When you ask somebody a question, the person answers the question correctly, but the person is really not sure if that answer is correct or not. The second group is the consciously competent. This is a person who knows the material, he knows the material, and answer the question correctly. And then you have the orange group, and these are the consciously incompetent. And these are the group of individuals who do not know the answer, and they know that they do not know the answer. And then you have this group in the red area, which is the unconsciously incompetent, and that is the dangerous group. The group that the learner think that they know the material, but actually they do not. So the main goal of any teaching is to move people from this box, the unconsciously incompetent, move them to the consciously competent. And one way to illustrate this point for adaptive learning is from study that was done using New England Journal of Medicine Knowledge Plus for pediatrics. And this is the exact platform that we are using in our program. And basically, this study involved 3,706 pediatricians who were studying for maintenance of certification exam. And when they started, as you see in the blue color, about 24% of them were considered unconsciously incompetent. And as they moved in their utility of the program, that median shifted downward to about 15%. And by the time they completed the entire program, the median went almost to zero. So adaptive learning is capable of moving learners from the unconsciously incompetent to the consciously competent. The other thing, adaptive learning enables learning at a faster rate. And this is a study from a pharmaceutical company that they were trying to teach 3,000 individuals in their workforce about a new product. So they divided them into two groups. One group used the traditional e-learning, and the other group used adaptive learning. Both groups achieved mastery of the information. They learned the information, but the traditional e-learning, it took them 5 hours and 14 minutes to learn it compared to 2 hours and 55 minutes. Another study I wish to share with you, this is the McGraw-Hill Connect Effectiveness Study. McGraw-Hill, if you do not know, is the largest publisher in the United States, and it publishes primarily textbooks for colleges, universities, and schools. In Connect, it is the exact platform that we are using, and for marketing reason, they decided to call it Connect. So now when you buy a book from McGraw-Hill, it comes with the regular textbooks that we are all familiar with.
Maybe you can go one slide back as a refreshment.
We cannot hear you.
I think you are muted.
Can you unmute?
Nader, I think you are muted. Can you unmute?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
All right. So this is basically from the McGraw-Hill Connect effectiveness studies. And again, as I indicated earlier, McGraw-Hill is the main publisher of university and colleges textbooks. So now when you buy a textbook, it comes with the actual textbook along with the adaptive learning component that goes with it. So they did a study where they compared the performance of students from 22 universities from 2013 and 2014, and their performance, whether it was better if they used the adaptive learning component along with the traditional textbook. And they found, in fact, that those who use the adaptive learning along with the textbook, they have a 20% higher retention rate, about 10% higher course passing, and about 10% higher average exam score, and 15% more students scored A's and B's compared to those who only used the textbook. And for the teachers, they had 72% less administrative time. The last study I want to share with you is again from New England Journal of Medicine Knowledge Plus and the American Board of Internal Medicine, where it looked at 166 internists who used adaptive learning and compared them to 166 internists who studied for the maintenance of certification exam using the traditional e-learning methods. And they found that those who use adaptive learning have 10% higher likelihood of passing the exam and 10% higher likelihood of scoring in the top quartile and 10% lower likelihood of scoring in the bottom quartile compared to those who used the traditional e-learning tools. So basically, in summary, it seems like adaptive learning enables faster learning, higher retention rate, higher passing score, higher passing rate, and less administrative preparations for teachers. So now I want to shift gear and talk to you about the program that I indicated that I have been involved in building for the past few years. And as you see here, we got the endorsement from the International Federation of Clinical Chemistry and Laboratory Medicine for it. A few words about this program. This is a curriculum-based and soon to be a multilingual program. It has 120 advanced courses that span across all disciplines of laboratory medicine. For you specifically, we have 22 courses that might be of interest to you that are for laboratory genomics. And also my colleague Roy Peak prepared several courses in the genetic metabolic area, which will be of interest to you. In addition, we have prepared 90 courses for medical laboratory specialists or the medical technologists, actually the people who perform the actual testing. And this program is free of charge for individual users, so we can remove all financial barriers. And the courses prepared, reviewed, and translated by over 450 international experts from around the world. All are volunteers. So rather than showing you static images of the course, I would like to share with you a 2 minute video we prepared that will explain this program.
The Learning Lab is freely available to everyone and offers a personalized and adaptive e-learning experience. Let's explore it together. The Learning Lab encompasses all disciplines in laboratory medicine and consists of over 100 courses. Each course consists of around 100 granular learning objectives, and each learning objective is accompanied by questions and corresponding learning resources. There are several types of questions used, including multiple choice, matching, categorize, and clinical cases to enhance the learning experience. Images such as morphologies and chromatograms can be used in these questions. If a learner disagrees with an answer, they can challenge it and send feedback directly to the author. Learning resources provide explanations for the answers and can be in many different forms, including videos, images, pathways, and the text can be read aloud. They also include references to support the explanation. So now, let's see how it works. The AI-driven adaptive algorithm assesses the learner's knowledge and creates a unique learning path to proficiency in real time. The learning path is determined by several factors, including how the learner answers the questions and their confidence in their answer. Novice learners will have access to more resources, while experts will only see additional resources if they miss a question or choose to review. All learning resources are available to view at any time via the map panel. The algorithm is designed to ensure 100% proficiency by the end of the course. So why not give it a try and have fun while learning?
So this is an image that depicts some of the authors who prepared these courses, and this is where the contributors are. As I said, the contributors can be authors, reviewers, editors, or translators. And this is where the users of the programs are. At the present time, we have over 12,000 users from 153 countries. And you see we have excellent penetration in Europe and very large parts of the Americas and Asia. But unfortunately, we still have a lot of work to do in Africa. And even in Africa, when we have representations from a country, the representation is usually quite modest. Hopefully, with your help, you will be able to let more colleagues know about the programs so then they can take advantage of it. The four top users are the United States, India, Egypt, and the United Kingdom. The other six are Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Canada, Philippines, Spain, and Australia. So what is next that we are doing? We still have several courses that are missing. The courses that are missing that are of interest to you, one in genetic metabolic that deals with lysosomal disorders and disorders of carbohydrate metabolism. And another course that is missing in that group is newborn screening, which we will hopefully be doing soon. So we have to complete those courses, and courses are as good as being up to date. We just completed updating all courses that were released by 2020. And next year, we will start updating those courses that are released in 2021. We hope that we will be able to start tailoring content, because all information, all courses are built in a very cellular way. So we will be able to tailor a particular a course to the needs of a medical school or a training program. And we started experimenting with that. And also our hope is to incorporate this program in training programs around the world. We just started an experiment in Ghana with the help of a German foundation, where all health sciences in that country will incorporate this program in their curriculum. And we are hoping with the availability of this program in French, we will be able to do the same thing in Senegal. We will continue, of course, to promote the program. However, the major undertaking that we started in January of 2023 is to have this program translated into 9 different languages. By the end of this year, before the end of this year, this program will be released in Arabic, Japanese, Bahasa Indonesia, French, and in Chinese, both the traditional and the simplified version. And we already started working on Spanish, Portuguese, and Korean. So again, we are looking for volunteers, and I know that Jerry and Prince volunteered to convert a couple of courses to French. And the way we are doing it, we are using artificial intelligence to do the initial translation, which is quite good actually. And then the information is verified by an expert. So it is not as time consuming as doing the entire translation from scratch. I am fully aware that we will not be able to reach a big portion of people in Africa if we do not have the French translation. And also, I am hoping the Portuguese translation will be also appreciated in certain parts of Africa. So the way we envision using this program is it will change the way we deal with continuing education. It becomes a lifelong journey where you can use it whenever you have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. This program is good because it enables you to learn in small blocks of time. It's a very good way to assess competency, to prepare for certification exam, and also you'll be able to get CE credit if that is important in the country where you work. And it helps you to stay current. And, this is a program designed for all laboratory professionals at all levels, but also many clinicians in a very specific area will find certain courses very useful to them. This is the URL that enables you to use this program. The registration, as I said, is for free. It takes really between 30 seconds and 1 minute to register, and you will be able to use it. So I encourage all of you to give it a try. It may be something you will like using. encourage your colleagues and your trainees also to take advantage of it. And as I said, I emailed this entire deck of slides to MA, and so it can be circulated to all of you. I think at this point, I'm gonna stop and see if I can try to figure out how to stop sharing, so we will be able to answer whatever question you may have.
Thank you very much, Nader, for the presentation and for the work that has been put in place behind to make this platform available. Actually, I'm going to start with the questions. I just ask in the chat for people to type in their specialties. Please, participant, go on the chat and type your specialty. The reason I'm asking that is to allow Nader to tell us whether your specialty has been well represented or is one of those areas that still need to be covered. So my question is about the disconnect that we often see. We have this disconnect between the North and the South, as we call it, in terms of technological development, which makes it difficult for people that are trained in the Western parts of the world with the high quality standards to replicate some of the knowledge that has been acquired in our settings. The courses trying to also prepare people to adjusting the knowledge. I don't know where I would put ourselves. Maybe we are in kind of consciousness incompetence in terms of adapting some of those knowledges in our setting. Are the courses trying to capture that problem and address that?
So this is a very, very good point. And from the beginning, when we built this program, we built it in the mind that this is an international program. It's not only a program for the US and for Western Europe. In fact, I would say maybe 75% of our users, 70% of our users are in the developing world. So rather than focusing on cutting edge information and cutting edge technology, we focused on the basics. What people need to know on the basics to understand a disease or a technology. And we get a lot of questions. For example, one that I remember from a person who is doing pregnancy and its disorders course. She was saying, in the West, we no longer use fetal lung maturity test. Should we include it in this test, in this course or not? I said, yes, we should include it because it is still being used in many parts of the world. Another example is parasitology. When I got the course, most of the parasites that being discussed are parasites that are just being seen in the West. And there are many, many more that are seen in South America and Africa and Southeast Asia. So we asked people to add those things because this is not, the audience is not only a Western audience. So I hope we were able to provide information that it may not be 100% of what you desire to see, but at least will be 80% of what you desire to see, like thyroid, the biochemistry of the thyroids, the pathology, the presentation. It is the same wherever you are around the world. Maybe it becomes slight differences in the types of generation of TSH assay that you measure. So we try to be more general so we will be able to reach a larger number of people.
Okay, we have people from cancer genetics, computer science, microbiology, pediatrician, and I personally know this is someone who's working on metabolic diseases. We have epidemiologists, and I also see names of one of our professor who's teaching clinical laboratory. So that allows me to ask my second question.
Of course.
How people from our setting can actually contribute for some of those analyses that we do or we perform, and that are no longer, as you mentioned, the example of the pulmonary maturation tests, that are no longer one of the first or second tier tests in the Western parts, how those people can connect and contribute.
Well, I mean, there are multiple ways that you can contribute. You can contribute, for example, if you happen to be a French speaker or Portuguese speaker, you can help us in the translation or in the verification of the translation process. So we will be able to make this information available to your own population, to your own countrymen. To take the French as an example, we have few people who are helping in laboratory medicine in France, but we have a huge group from French Canadian colleagues are helping. We have people from Congo Kinshasa, we have people from Algeria and Tunisia that are helping. The other thing that you can help us with, that if you are reviewing, or if you are taking a course and you find that certain things are missing in it because they are not reflecting the practice in your region, you can either reach out to me or you can reach out directly to the author, because these courses can always be modified. This is the advantage of this versus a chapter in a textbook, where the only time you can do the modification, you have to wait for the new edition 5 years later. This one, we can go and do the modification immediately and have the course re-released, including this information. For example, the American Heart Association just released a new guideline for diagnosis and management of diabetes. In the same day, we were able to do the modification and republish the course, which includes the new reference and the new information. So you will be able to help us in these both ways.
Okay, so just to notify the participants, you are now able to unmute your mic, but for organization purposes, we would prefer that you just use the raise the hand reaction so that we can call you for your questions. So my other question is, the way you describe the adaptive learning, it's really based on the efficiency of someone in the different tests that someone is performing. Suppose that I follow one first course, the question that I failed on, are those going to lead or to guide the next course that I should follow?
Sure. So basically, it starts by asking you a question in order to determine the level that you are in, because whenever we put questions on learning objectives, we rank them as basic, intermediate, and advanced. So try to figure out where you will rank in this area. It will time how long it took you to answer the question, and it will ask you the level of your confidence in your answer. So the algorithm then will figure out which category you fit in, and will start asking you question. And if you answer them quickly, it will skip all the basic one, and it moves to an area that you are not familiar with. And then when you do not know the answer for something, it starts giving you some information about it. And then it will go back and re-ask you again the same question in a different format or different question in the same topics. And if you continue to get it wrong and it continues to give you information and you're still getting it wrong, it will tell you at this point, I think you need to stop, go and read this, and let's come back and continue. But if you get it right, then it will move on to identify another area where you are not proficient. So it will help you to become proficient.
Okay. And if I may continue with the questions, for people willing to get some credit from the learning process, what is possible for them? Because we have people that have joint affiliation, or they are certified in a board in their own country that require them to take some training and to prove that they have been registered, or they took a course that is offering credits.
Yes, for the credit at the present time, we offer a CE credit via the American Association for Clinical Chemistry. We are working with the European Federation of Laboratory Medicine, where they can provide CE and CPD credit. So basically, every time you answer correctly 8 questions, you get a credit. So if you know the topic well, it is a very easy way to accumulate the needed credit for maintenance of certification. Thank
you. Rolanda, please.
Yes, thanks, Prof. Nader. This is a very interesting topic. So last week I attended a datathon and I was in the ChatGPT stream. So we were half red teaming ChatGPT and exploring different prompts to get answers. So I just wanted to find out, with this algorithm, have it been tested with people asking the same question but using different prompts? Will it consistently give the same answers, or will it vary based on who's asking and how the question is phrased?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. If you can please repeat it.
Yes, so you were saying like a person can ask a question, or it asks the person questions, right? And then you respond. Yes. So is it adaptive to the person, how the person phrases the question? Because with ChatGPT, you could ask the same question, but different people asking the question in various ways, and then it gives different answers. So
yes. I mean, so the platform can ask you a question in a multiple choice format, okay? And let's say you get it wrong, either because you do not know the information, or because you are not very familiar with multiple choice question. Mm-hmm. So what the system does, it takes the same information and it reconfigures the question into, let's say, categorizing probe, or will create like creating 2 columns until you drag which correct information into each column, or it will ask you a question in the form of fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. So in case you didn't get the answer correctly because of the format of the question, so it tries to remedy that.
Okay, I see. That's great. Thanks.
Okay, so I don't see any hand that is up. would conclude that the presentation has been well received. However, we have the opportunity to review the presentation. So we will circulate the slides. We will try to see whether it's possible to combine the pieces of video, the recordings, and make that also available in our YouTube channel of the H3 Africa. So with that, I would like to thank the presenter for your time, for the work you're doing, and for the presentation today. And we look forward to exploring the lab learning platform, and for us also to contribute. We already have people who have volunteered to contributing. We hope that after this presentation, much more people get involved using the platform and also contributing in other ways to make it available in other languages. So thank you very much, and thank you to all the participants. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.